Konnichiwa, my name is Logan Charles Luna, and in this video I will be doing a fan art of some FromSoft characters from Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Elden Ring, and Sekiro. And it will be featuring one of my OCs, BB the Clown. And throughout this video I'm just gonna talk about video games and their adaptations, because recently the Last of Us has premiered their live action series on HBO, and so far so good. It's changed a few things from the video game, albeit some things to make it make more sense as a series, because when you adapt something, especially a video game, video games rely on gameplay to break up the story. There are things that literally only happen in video games because of the gameplay. So when you create a narrative around it, you have to take an account of how do we break up the action and how do we incorporate elements into the storytelling. So far, I think that they're doing a good job with it. And there is also another video game that has an adaptation right now, and it's Nier Automata. And Nier Automata is an anime, and it's once again brought up the question that not just a few of my friends, but a lot of people have pondered throughout the years. Can you make a Dark Souls anime? Now, there's some videos around the internet and YouTube where people have taken clips and boss fights from Dark Souls and Demon Souls and Sekiro and even Elden Ring now, and made anime openings, anime endings, and arcs. But then it comes to the question, because like Nier Automata, there are different endings. There's the true ending, the bad ending, the gag ending, the so on and so forth. And it just questions, do you want to go down a specific road? And again, that's adapting gameplay into a narrative. So what makes the best sense? What's the best route? Do you go with just the true ending? Do you make allusions to the multiple endings? You know, there are certain things that, like, mechanics wise make sense in the games, but when you actually put that into account of the story, there's really no lore or narrative reason to do any of the stuff that the game requires you to do. So there are just a few things that could complicate an adaptation like that. However, this video is just once again here to ask the question of, can you make a Souls anime? And I think you can. And of course, they will eventually try to make a Souls anime. Whether they succeed or not is yet to be seen. Alright, I think I'm just gonna end the video here. There's a lot that, most of this is just gonna be up to interpretation and speculation of different routes you could go with. And again, there is no actual way to know or tell this story until they make it. And I'm just saying, I'm not envious about the person who has to not only put Dark Souls and Demon Souls into a narrative, but if they're all connected and then Sekiro and Elden Ring have to be part of the same world, yeah, I wouldn't want to have that job. I mean, it'd probably be cool to work on something like that, but there's just added things that could complicate it. Because I'm definitely going at this as a fan of the series, and knowing very well that a lot of the stuff doesn't make sense. and it just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense when you incorporate a game mechanic into the narrative, but also it just doesn't make sense. Like with Bloodborne, there's some stuff. Oh yeah, Bloodborne. I've been talking about all the FromSoft games, but I forgot to mention Bloodborne, which is one of my favorites. But there is a lot of Bloodborne that is 100% just an homage and a reference to stuff like Claymore, Vampire Hunter D, and of course Lovecraft and all the cosmic horror stuff there. And that's another part of it. How do you fit that stuff into all of it if you want to create one narrative, or if you just do the, I guess, anthology, everything is its own separate thing? You would definitely have to make all the sequels one anime season, and then you'd have to like chop everything up to fit like around 25 episodes. On some of the stuff, you'd probably chop it down to like 15 episodes because most of it will probably just be boss fights. And then you'd have to run into the question, do you give bosses backstory to enhance the fight, or do some bosses have a lackluster backstory and you just want to see the fight? And that kind of goes against, well, that kind of goes for the same with the character. Who's the main character? Is there a main character? Do you make it one of the main characters from the story, or is it this nameless hero? And what class are they? What archetype are they using? You know, stuff like that. So, once again, this has been Logan Charles Luna, and sayonara.